ZZ Shorn.
ZZ Top?
1986.
Get a shot of that with the red light on it. That's cool. You know, this room reminds me of the sick room at Prospect Place. What was that?
I heard that too. It was behind me.
I heard it.
I heard it back. I heard like it sounded like somebody hit a pipe.
Oh, I heard it. I heard like a.
Yeah, it was like a really, it's like a whooshy sound.
Mm-hmm.
Heading towards him, Josh. Is that footsteps down here?
What's this go to?
Kitchen.
This does?
Yeah, it's the servants' staircase to the kitchen.
Was it footsteps on the steps?
It sounded like it
No,
was
I just
coming
heard a man's voice.
It sounded like it was coming from down here. But then I heard when I was shaking my head, yes, I heard music.
Yeah, I heard the music.
I thought I heard a man's voice.
But see, it was so fast. It was either down here coming up, in here, or around that corner. But it sounded like this floor right here. That's what I heard.
Let's kind of hang out for here for a second. Josh, do you want to take that camera down the other end of the hall and shoot back our way?
Yeah, Derek's leaving there.
Here, hold on. I'm gonna
There's a door there.
go right in here.
You can keep shooting.
Whoa,
down.
stop. Something just got thrown or fell or something. I heard it like I don't know if it was like a paint chip or,
You can pan that way.
but I heard it hit and roll this way or bounce this way.
Derek, shoot over here for a second. Josh.
Could you have?
Which way did it go?
It was almost, it could have been like a paint chip or something, but it hit the floor and I could hear it bounce and come over to me.
It could have came off the ceiling, maybe.
Yeah, but
It could have came off of that wall.
I don't see anything. Like it definitely sounded like it hit in here and bounced this way, but I don't. It could have been something like that.
Is there a dog bark?
Pick the, yeah, hand it here once. Just be quiet for a second.
Shoot.
That's what it sounded like. Yeah.
Film Josh, Derek.
That's what it sounded like.
Mm-hmm. So.
What?
That was blue, right?
I don't know.
No, it was white. So it came from up there.
Yeah, it could. That's exactly what it sounded like. Was that you?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it happened again or not.
No.
Or just weird. I was just standing there and all of a sudden it happened.
I do feel a presence. It's actually right here where Derek was.
Well, that stairwell right there is freaky. Now it's like super cold right here where I'm standing.
And I feel fine. I mean, I don't feel it at all.
Here, come back where I am, Derek, and I'll stand where you're at. Trade me.
Cool. But yeah.
What was the temperature down there?
It is like super freaking cold.
Okay. 61 and a half.
Wait. I heard footsteps again. Was somebody moving? Almost kind of sounded like it was above us. But I heard two. It was like boom, boom. Definitely a footstep, not like shifting your weight or anything. It was like heel toe.
Okay, we just had a 5-degree increase. Whoa. That's not normal.
What?
It was cold here and then it jumped right back up to 66.
Oh, it,
There was a cold spot.
it was freaking cold.
Like it walked away.
Yeah, there was just, it was 61 and then it moved.
It's behind me, bro. Walk out of your cell. I'd like to see you. What the fuck was that?
Our quest to explain paranormal phenomena is endless. We spend every spare dime and every spare minute peering into shadow, searching history and lore for those elusive answers about what happens when we die. What is paranormal phenomena? Remnants of the dead, or a psychic theater where our hopes and fears manifest, augmenting our reality and changing our perception? We may never know the answer to these existential questions, but one thing is certain: that fact will never stop us from trying. Our next stop is in Marietta, Ohio, where local history is being restored and taught to those who want to learn from the past. Join us on our quest to explain paranormal phenomena at the Putnam Villa, better known as the Anchorage.
My name is Jessica Walitzka, and I'm a co-owner of Hidden Marietta Tour Company. We collaborate with the Washington County Historical Society, which owns the Anchorage, to open the house to tours. We have a little shop in here, and we do old-time photography, and we also do downtown ghost tours as well. The house was built in 1859 by Douglas and Eliza Putnam. Eliza is the one that was really the mover and shaker behind the house. She had traveled to visit her friend back east to a town that was much more civilized than Marietta was in 1859, and decided she had to have a house just like her friends. So she came back and said, "Douglas, I want a house just like my friend's house." And he said, "Well, of course you must have this house." He just happened to be the richest man in town, so he could afford to do this for her. And she worked with a local architect who designed many of the homes and buildings around Marietta, and built this place, which was known by many different names. Some people just called it the Palace because most people downtown were living in wooden structures above their shop. So, I mean, there were no brick streets yet in Marietta. It was all mud. There were cows wandering around. So just imagine what that looked like. And to see this place being built, it was kind of the pride of the entire town, not just for the Putnams. But the Putnams were involved in many different things. They really supported a lot of local charities and initiatives, but unfortunately, Eliza, who wanted to be this grand lady of the town and invite all of her friends and family to visit her here, she only got to enjoy that position for about 3 years. She died of heart disease upstairs in her bedroom.
The first thing that I thought of when I first seen the initial picture through a meeting that we had, I had a strong female, and I felt like some kind of chest issues, and I wasn't sure what that meant. And also she was projecting herself rather young, I felt. And I also felt while looking at the picture that she stayed at the top of the building at the lookout area. I recall Justin asking me if I could come up with a name, and I believe it took me a little bit. I did come up with the name Elizabeth, and to find out her name was Eliza. I remember walking to one of the windows, and I believe it was Eliza that I was picking up on, and I felt like she was, I was getting more emotion from her, like she was upset, like she was bratty, and like she was pouting, so to speak. I think because it felt like her time was cut too short. And, you know, at that time I wasn't sure exactly why that was. But I felt that she was portraying that, you know, it was like, you know, it wasn't fair. Chest. Woman. I actually feel that she's pouting, like she's upset, like kind of like unsure how to say this, like a spoiled brat. It's like she's pouting, like a toddler would lay on the floor and kick and scream and pound on the ground. It's like I'm feeling like her emotions, like it wasn't her time, it was not her time. That chest.
Do you feel like our presence was welcome? Did you feel like we were unwelcome? Did you ever get a sense of that?
I don't think we were unwelcome, but he knew that we were there to communicate with him, and we were being respectful and kind, and we weren't destroying his property or anything. So I think he was fine with us being there.
The Douglas Putnam guy?
Yeah.
Anything on Eliza?
No. I don't think Eliza was upstairs. I don't know who was upstairs. I never got her name. But she was in the tower, and she looked out at the street.
After that, Douglas, he would say, well, I'm $60,000 poorer, but I'm more than $60,000 wiser. And we believe that was because his wife is the one that really wanted the house so badly. But he did live here for many years. He passed away in, I believe, 1894. He had another wife that came to live here. She was not as fond of the house, and we wonder if Perhaps that's because Eliza might have still been hanging around. As soon as Douglas passed away, the new wife sold the house and moved to Kansas within 6 months. So, and of course, now we get stories of, even before we were here, we would hear stories of a woman wandering through the house, usually seen in the parts of the house that are upkept more often, so the parlor and the tower. She used to be seen on the main staircase when this place was a nursing home, but since a lot of changes were made by the nursing home to make it more up to fire codes, she stopped being seen in places that I believe she no longer considered beautiful. So she's usually seen as a middle-aged lady with her gray hair in an updo and a very elegant dress on. And she's seen in the parlor and then also standing in the tower. People driving by on Route 7 will call the Historical Society and ask if there's anyone in there in costume, and they'll say, nope, you've just seen our ghost. But she's actually one of many that has been seen in the house. She's just the first that we know of.
I think this is where she spends a lot of her time. It's right here. Yeah.
Doing what?
The what ifs and unknowns. Just again, it's more, when I was feeling downstairs, it's more up here of her being upset of what happened and how quickly it happened. And there was like no time to enjoy what she had at the time. Everything just went really quickly.
My name is Melissa Farris. I also go by Viva. I am a co-owner to Hidden Marietta Tour Company. I've lived in Marietta for about 9 to 10 years now, and I've been with Hidden Marietta for about 2.5. I got into Hidden Marietta via working at the Lafayette Hotel, which is here on Front Street in Marietta. And Hidden Marietta, Jessica, the whole team was actually going there for an investigation. They had to have an employee with them to accompany them in certain areas, and I was that employee, and I thought it was very, very interesting. So Jesse decided to bring me along, and we've been having a blast ever since. But the Anchorage is a very, very historical place. It's beautiful, it's absolutely breathtaking. A lot of people don't notice it until they're actually on this west side area of Marietta. It does have a lot of history to it. It's a Putnam built house. The Putnams are a very big name here in town. They have a street named after them. They have a bridge named after them. I do believe there's also a hall named after them at Marietta College. So they have quite a reputation, quite a good reputation at that. So it's kind of fitting for them to still be here, Douglas and Eliza both, because even though Douglas built this house for Eliza, he built it for the love of his life. So it was kind of heartbreaking for him to lose her. So I think he still lingers around here, hoping to be able to find her, hoping to be able to connect with her in some way, shape, or form. We have had psychics come in and say that they do sometimes connect with each other, that they do still love each other and everything, but of course they kind of just drift apart slowly, and it kind of just has to be that certain time, like the right moment, in order for them to be able to make that connection.
I feel heavy in this room. Feels like there's an older gentleman. Like he's almost... angry. Like my stomach's in knots. I feel anger here. And also
Did you just say something?
no.
Did you hear that?
Yes. I did hear something.
Oh my
I
God.
couldn't make out what it was or anything, so I didn't know.
That was the loudest disembodied voice I've ever heard in my life.
Did you hear?
It was the loudest thing. It was a man. I definitely got it.
Did you?
Yes. Did you just say something?
No.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Did you just say something?
No.
Did you hear that?
Yes. I did hear something.
Oh my
I couldn't make out what it was or anything, so I didn't know.
That was the loudest disembodied voice I've ever heard in my life.
Did you hear?
It was the loudest thing. It was a man. I definitely got it.
Did you?
Yes.
Like I'm shaking.
Yeah.
I remember walking up the stairs, and I would remember going off to the room off to the right as soon as you get to the landing of the stairs, and then there was a room off there. And I felt a man. He was just angry and upset, unsure exactly why, or if that's just how he was. I wasn't able to pick up on any of that, but it was just, I wouldn't say that he didn't like us to be there, but I just think that's just how he was. And I remember going up the rest of the steps, and I remember standing there because I was feeling like he followed us into the other room. And I remember I thought I heard something, but I just thought it was one of us, with our shoe or something like that. And that's when Justin asked me if I heard that. Then I knew I heard what it was. But at that time, I didn't know, what I did hear.
So, after you heard it on the recording, what did you think?
What I first initially heard, what I thought it said was she's coming. And what I interpreted that as with me remote viewing prior going to the location, it was kind of like he was given a heads up that I was there. Kind of like as I had a connection with remote viewing to that location.
We actually believe that Douglas Putnam might still be here as well. Everyone reports that there is a woman seen in the tower, but I actually have seen personally a man in the tower. My mother and I were working the office and, just wanted to kind of walk around and stretch our legs. So we walked out to the side of the house and we both felt like something was watching us. So at the same time, we turn and we look up at the tower and we see a man standing there. He was an older gentleman and he had, like his cheeks were kind of hanging down and his gray hair was swept back, and he had a maroon dressing gown on. And when I Googled what Victorian male dressing gowns look like, and it was the same thing. And he was kind of looking down at us, not unfriendly, but just kind of watching us. And my mother and I, we thought, there's no way, maybe it's a glare or something. So she finally says, "Do you see that?" And I said, yes, I see it. And he faded away right in front of our eyes. And we actually have a picture of him over there on the mantelpiece, and it looks exactly like what we saw.
The spirits pretty much have a run of the house. Douglas, Eliza, Henrietta, Clara. and also the nursing home patients. We believe that the nursing home patients, depending on the time of the year, are more prominent. They have been seen all throughout the house, more in shadow form. A lot of people have been touched, have had their hair pulled, have been rushed. I have my own experience of actually being upstairs, doing a walkthrough of the house after a ghost tour was finished, and we were turning the lights off, and there was actually a dark shadow figure that ran up on me, and it kind of startled me. I kind of stepped back quite a bit, and it kind of just like completely took my breath away, because I really didn't expect that, especially in the dark. But it was a very prominent shadow figure that was seen up there. We've also had people come here to do ghost hunts, especially back in the servants' quarters. The spirit that likes to hang out back there is he's really big into ladies. He loves talking to ladies and connecting with them in any way, shape, or form he possibly can.
In the slaves' quarters, there was a male down there. He talked all night.
What do you say?
Well, when I first went down there, he said there's 12 of us. I never felt like there was more than him, but he said there's 12 of us. And he just wanted someone to interact. He just wanted to get a rise out of somebody.
I see.
He got a kick out of Derek.
Do you know why?
He's behind me, bro.
Oh, his reaction.
His reaction, yes.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Okay, we just had a 5-degree increase. Whoa. That's not normal.
What?
It was cold here and then it jumped right back up to 66. There was a cold spot.
It was freaking cold. Like it walked away.
Yeah, there was just, it was 61 and then it moved.
It's behind me, bro.
It's behind you?
Yeah. Because my back is frozen.
What are you, Zach Bagans?
Hey, Derek, for a minute, turn your light off.
Which one?
The one on your head.
Oh.
No,
Your
your
good light.
IR light.
I gotta find all my buttons.
It's a little warmer over here. It's like 1 degree warmer than it was over there.
Is it off?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're good.
you could be feeling the coldness from the window.
It's actually
Could be.
warmer right here.
Is it?
So it must be affecting your skin.
I mean, it's weird because I heard that. Sound like a yell?
I can't tell what it was. It's behind me, bro.
He wanted to get the words out, but he couldn't get them out. Probably what he was doing. That's all he could think of.
Exactly.
What was the last thing you watched on TV, Derek?
Oh, hell. What was it? I don't even remember now.
It sounded like a horror movie. It's behind me, bro.
It's
Behind me,
scary movie.
It's like, Justin, it's behind me, isn't it?
What movie is that?
Any horror movie out there?
Pretty much. Scary movie.
I'm sorry, I give you a hard time. It's just like, you've never said that to me yet. It's like, wasn't ready.
This place changes people, bro.
This place over here on this side is interesting.
I keep getting drawn to that room.
Which one?
That
Yeah,
same room.
it's got a very lived-in feel to it.
Which one?
That one where I said the stove was.
They spent a lot of time in that room.
Yeah, I kept on getting, singing and, just average normal day activity feel.
I'm out of focus.
Because you don't have a light on.
I love that. Yeah, it's picking up.
I'm probably blasting you with my light right now.
All right, we'll move on. Let's go upstairs. We'll backtrack because we can't go down there. I don't think they want us to go through there.
I walk down the steps and you walk into a room, real tight stairway, it was just barely enough room for one person to go down in, and kind of opened up into this room, and there's other rooms off of that, and I just kind of walked, stayed to the left and walked back into this room, and there's some bunk beds and some other random things in there. But as soon as I walked in that room, I suddenly got all these chills through my body, and I could feel the hair standing up on my arms and the back of my neck, and for no reason. There was no breeze or anything like that. It just kind of hit me all of a sudden when I walked in there. And later on, when we went back down there, as soon as I walked down the steps, I got that feeling. So it was kind of odd.
Yeah, that usually doesn't happen with you. Do you feel strongly that there was some type of spiritual presence?
Yeah, I think there's something. When I get that kind of feeling, or sometimes I get a weird feeling that somebody's watching me, or just some weird thought that maybe something was there trying to get my attention. It's kind of odd for me to have that kind of experience, but not lately.
You feel like it's happening more and more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least once per location.
We went to check out the servants' quarters because Josh had an odd feeling when he went down there doing a little walkthrough earlier in the day. And we hit one part, and we kind of sat in this one little room, and it didn't yield anything that we were looking for. Nothing was really going on, so we kind of eased out of there and went back up. And when we got back up to the top of the stairs, we started, if I recall, we were hearing something. It sounded like footsteps or shuffling. So we're kind of standing there and we're listening, and all of a sudden I kind of felt this cool breeze, or like a cold spot or a rush of air around my back. And I was standing next to a doorway or a closet or something, and I'm standing there, and it kept getting colder and colder and colder. And when I brought it up, you were like, okay, here, go down here and stand here, and I'll check this out. So I went and stood by a window. Well, I'm standing by the window, and you decided to walk over. You had to meet her, and you're checking the spot that I was originally at. And I'm standing by this window, and I remember looking over, because the window was here, there was a doorway here, and then a stairwell that led down to, I think, the kitchen area. And there was like a little cubby right off that stairwell, and you could kind of see through a crack in the cubby. And I kept looking in that crack because for some reason I kept thinking something was going to be in there. There was nothing in there, but I kept looking in here, and you noticed the temperature change in the spot that I was standing at before. Well, as soon as you mentioned the temperature change, the temperature started raising and going back to normal temperature because it was cooler. And you said, look, the temperature's going back up now. So there was obviously a temperature change. And as soon as you said that, I could feel the same feeling behind me again where I was standing. The only difference was it was like it was wrapping around me. And then it was going across my arms and over my fingertips like I was in a wind tunnel. But there was no wind blowing. And it was the freakiest thing I've ever felt. It was weird.
Oh boy.
What was it?
I feel something out here right now.
Right here, right.
Tell me you don't feel like they're all standing in their doorways right now.
I do. Like they're not watching us.
Yeah,
See,
I
I'm
don't
very
like that.
anxious
That's
right
fucking
now.
creepy.
I'm anxious.
They're standing all in their doorways right now. Look at my arm. Put a light on my arm.
Have a light.
You see that? It's standing up.
Wow. Wow. Huh?
Did you say my name?
Yes. What's the possibility that something is walking with us?
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty high. We're in a haunted.
Is it still behind you, bro?
Yes. But I'm not going to say that.
Say it.
It feels like
Okay, I'm getting a reading.
it feels
Well, I
like
was.
something
What was it?
is
Want me to take it to
standing
him?
behind me. Waiting,
Want me to put around him?
flowing air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Real soft flowing air, and it's all up and down behind me. My arm, I mean, I can feel it going over my fingertips, down the back of both my arms, around my sides. It's weird.
That gave me chills. All right, we'll go up there, Josh, where you're at.
We didn't even go back there, you know?
Yeah, that's where we come up through.
Justin's like, not right now.
No, we were the. We'll go back there.
Where are we going? Upstairs? I can't see anything.
I turned off the feels. Here.
I can't see anything.
One of the experiences that I did have was with Derek. It was the very first trip upstairs that we took to go set it up. We went. We were following one of the guides, and we were walking. We got up to the attic, and we were walking past this area with all these toys, and there was a keyboard sitting there, and the guide kind of stopped and walked over there, and that's when I looked over, and she goes, "Oh, it's turned on again," and she reached down and she turned the keyboard off. The keyboard had come on by itself, or somebody had turned it on. But she mentioned that she had just turned it off like right before we got there. So I'm thinking nothing of it. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool that something like that happened. So we went upstairs into the lookout area, and Derek and I started talking about about his idea for the time lapse, and we were setting up for that and just talking back and forth with the guide. And she had left, and when Derek and I had finally come down, we came down and was walking past that area again where the toys were, and I could see the red light on the keyboard, and it had been turned on again. So it was pretty interesting, but that was the only time that the keyboard had come on.
I'm waiting for
Seems
that
like
music box to
everybody's-
close down real quick.
Everybody's attitude kind of went playful,
Then we're pretty tired.
childish.
So yours changed?
Yeah, I want that keyboard to turn back on again.
Can you turn the keyboard back on for us? That would be great. We'll give you a sticker. What was that? Was that you?
I was. Footsteps over there.
It sounded like there was a voice over there, but I can't
Yeah.
But
hear.
I was doing something.
Okay,
Yeah,
because I can't hear you.
Yeah, but I just heard footsteps down there.
Can you turn the keyboard back on for us? That would be great. We'll give you a sticker. What was that? Was that you?
I was. I heard footsteps over there.
It sounded like there was a voice over there, but I can't
Yeah.
But
hear.
I was doing something.
Okay,
Yeah,
because I can't hear you.
Yeah, but I just heard footsteps down there.
Can you turn the keyboard back on for us? That would be great. We'll give you a sticker. What was that? Was that you?
I was. I heard footsteps over there.
It sounded like there was a voice over there, but I can't
Yeah.
But
hear.
I was doing something.
Okay,
Yeah,
because I can't hear you.
Yeah, but I just heard footsteps down there.
Check it out.
It sounded like
Who? Me?
sounded like something said, "Ooh."
We need to leave Jessica by herself in here somewhere.
Anywhere that she doesn't want to go.
Over there.
It's got to be the darkest fucking place here.
There's like a bunch of like little areas up here.
Mm-hmm. There's one back there, isn't there?
Yep.
Go, Missy, go crawl in there. Check it out.
I am not going back there because I don't have a flashlight.
Give her a flashlight. Is that more footsteps?
That was me.
Okay.
Going back there because I don't have a flashlight.
Give her a flashlight.
Is that more footsteps?
That was me.
Okay.
Going back there because I don't have a flashlight.
Give her a flashlight.
I don't have one.
Is that more footsteps?
That was me.
Okay.
So yes, it was more footsteps.
Stop moving. Go over there, but don't move.
Oh my God.
Can you hover?
This is how you hunt ghosts, ladies and gentlemen. You sit here and act completely fucking retarded. And entertain the spirits, the resident spirits.
I also picked up on a young child. I believe it was a boy at first. When Justin was showing me photos of the location, I felt that there was a lot of unknown history with that location for some reason, and just wasn't sure exactly what that was at the time. I also felt like, you know, there were secret doors, secret pathways, but I didn't understand what that meant at that time. After I was picking up on the tunnels and the little boy, I was able to kind of connect the dots, so to speak, to figure out what all that was meaning. And it came up across Underground Railroad. The boy I felt that I was feeling prior was a part of the railroad.
We tend to get a lot of stories about tunnels underneath the house. We cannot really confirm that there are, but we have so many people that come on tours and say, well, I lived here when Mrs. Russell owned the house, and I know they're there because I played in them. You know, I ran through them. So, you know, it's possible. Douglas Putnam built the house. His brother David actually lived right next door, and we know for sure that his house was on the Underground Railroad. He was very loud in his support of abolition. And I mean, there were slaveholders in West Virginia, or Virginia at the time, that tried to drown him in the river. So he was very well connected to that movement. And we believe that also Douglas and his wife also believed in abolition, especially Eliza. She came from a very strong abolitionist family. So it is possible that there are hiding spaces or possibly tunnels. We just haven't found them yet. So maybe one day we could get a ground scanner and see if there's anything filled in that we haven't found.
When the nursing home left the Anchorage and they built the facility down below, they ended up leaving this house abandoned for about 10 years. And during that time, obviously the electricity, the water, everything was completely off. And the employees would still say that they would see the lights coming off and on. They would see people moving between rooms. It was very unsettling. A lot of people here in town were very afraid of this building. A lot of people didn't really stomach even trying to break into it because of how terrified they were of it. So eventually, with it being abandoned like for that amount of time, a lot of people ended up forgetting about it. Then that's when the Historical Society, the Washington County Historical Society, decided to swoop in and purchase the building from the nursing home. Whoever owned the nursing home at the time really saw this building as more of an eyesore. They really wanted to get it off their hands, and they were hoping to be able to do it the fastest way possible. When the Washington County Historical Society came to them, they decided to sell them this beautiful mansion for just $1. So they bought this house for $1 in 1996, which I think is a bargain. The Washington County Historical Society, when they purchased the building, they didn't really know exactly what to do with it. So it actually stayed abandoned for about 10 more years after that. But what they ended up doing eventually is using this house more as a storage area. You see things around the house from Richard's Pharmacy. That was an old pharmacy that was here in town a really, really long time ago. And they have old books, old newspapers, lots of different things that just collected in the house over the years. Eventually, they did start opening up the house for tours. People would pay with just donation, however much they felt they wanted to donate to making this house beautiful and renovating it. That's how much they paid, and they would be able to go throughout the house and learn the history and all of that fun stuff. But it wasn't until recently that us, Hidden Marietta, were able to come into the home and do our own investigations and gather a lot of evidence as well. I've always been in love with this building. When I first moved here, my husband would always drive by the house and talk about it a little bit. He didn't know very much history about it, but he would always talk to me about it. And once I was actually able to get into the house and learn more about it, learn about the history, learn about the spirits, it kind of just grows on you, and slowly but surely it just becomes like a home away from home. Genuinely, I could be in this house all day, all night without any complaints whatsoever. It's just that comfortable. A lot of people think just because it's haunted and just because it has paranormal activity that automatically you're supposed to run screaming for the hills, but in this place it just feels like home.
Oh, I would go back for sure. I would recommend anybody that gets a chance to go there to go there. You know, if you don't go there to investigate it, go there just to check it out. Because just checking it out, walking through, do a historical tour, you know, donate some money, because they're legitimately trying to fix the place up and make it original back to what it was meant to be. I think, you know, it's definitely a place to hit again, and to try to find out what's going on and why it's going on, because it's legitimately got something happening.
How cool is it to be able to contribute to not only the history, but to the restoration of a part of that history that helped liberate slavery?
It's really cool, because there's not, the history in the United States and all over the world, really, when you think about it, you know, the historical aspect of everything is kind of dying out. Everybody's modernizing. They want to get rid of all the historical structures. They want to tear them down, modernize. Parking lot, shopping center, you know, apartment buildings. So you're losing a lot of your historical locations. A lot of things that, you know, people took for granted are now starting to disappear for stuff that people don't need, or that, you know, rich people want, and things like that. You know, it's sad, and it's great to be able to go somewhere knowing that you're paying to go do something that you like to do, but on the other hand, you're paying to help them restore something so that you can actually go back 10, 20, 30 years down the road and say, hey, this is still here and I helped do that. You know, you don't get that opportunity very often.